Well,
Hi, Dominic.
how are you doing?
I'm good. How's it going?
Why capitalism, consumerism? I mean, there's a few things we can unpack just from your talk about what we're up to as well.
Well, I loved what I learned about your project yesterday, so maybe just share a little bit with what you got.
Yeah, so essentially we're creating a community, which is a super common theme of the last few days, around incentivizing people to change their behavior and rewarding action both on the supply side or on the consumption side, on the demand side and on the supply side. So new products that are coming to the market that are going to make a difference, and new technologies more importantly. And so we're using a token to incentivize a collective. And so the token is not a proxy for money, it's a proxy for equity in the community. So there's a huge correlation with the Ubuntu discovery. You talk about old versus new technology. Our history is in VC and accelerator, investing in sustainable startups. We've been doing that for 7 years, based out of Hong Kong. And what we've found is that there's always a slight miscorrelation with incentive. So the way that our model works is that we find a corporate partner who want to invest in new technology. Obviously, it's a great feed-in for innovation. They go and find projects. We run the accelerator, and the company, we vet them. They exit the accelerator with an investment, and they may or may not be connected to the company long term. And we have a community. We have 45,000 people in our newsletter. They're not necessarily bought into the success of these companies. They're not bought into the success of each other, even the same cohorts. If you add token to all of that, and we have startups that are swapping equity, their own equity, to the community for token, then you have this scenario where everyone's bought in on the success of everyone else.
Okay, so it makes it a more cooperative,
exactly
system in a way.
You can take the example of mentors, right? So often mentors, you find a mentor that wants to help a business for a couple of months. Again, if you tokenize that and give the mentor a token which represents equity in the whole community, then they're really bought into the future of everything and the success of that technology that's going to make a change.
So just to understand, so the tokens are, they go into a digital wallet, but they're not like, I can't trade them for dollars in a way.
So it's a good question. So how do you earn them, right? And this is the final piece around incentives. We kind of created a system, but what was missing was the individual, right? And so we kind of sat and took this model that's our core business, and we added a component that made sense, and that's to give corporates and NGOs the tool to distribute the token to an individual for their actions. So what we want is an individual doing something good for humanity and earning token, right?
You gave me the example of somebody choosing to eat a vegetarian.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we kind of break it down into three ways, and largely for technology. So token for time and effort. So we have a project coming up in Hong Kong with the Nature Conservancy, who's a kind of global environmental group. They have a reef rebuilding project out in Hong Kong. So we're going to take our community, our Hong Kong-based community out there. They're going to work on this reef rebuilding exercise. It's reef rebuilding. Okay. So it's in a wetland, an estuary. Mm-hmm. And everyone that comes out is going to get token for their time and effort. So their share in the community is increasing because they're doing something good.
And even if they don't quite know yet what the tokens can be exchanged for or used for?
Yeah, so we're continuing to build utility. At the moment, for example, we've got, and this kind of goes to the question of why be on chain, which is actually it's a question every Web3 project needs to answer. Why are you on the blockchain? We can kind of get to that, but essentially at the moment we've got groups signed up. You can attend a couple of sustainability events. It's early days. You collect enough token, you'll be able to buy a ticket. We've invested in Asia's first lab-grown fish product, and they are providing their product to the community in exchange for token.
Ah, okay, interesting.
Now?
So that creates a little virtuous loop.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we've started from the small ideation all the way through to the consumer.
So ultimately, you could have like a whole basket of like goods and services that are all involved in this, and it's almost separate from the monetary system.
And that's the plan. So the last thing we would want to do, looks like it's probably going to be Q1, will be traded on an exchange. Because you need to have a monetary peg to understand the value. Corporates need to understand the value of what they've got and how much they're giving and taking, right? But essentially, we want people to earn this for doing good to humanity.
This is a way to, I was talking about maybe capitalism needs to go, but you're sort of thinking more like, how do we reform it by giving people new incentive structures?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's it. I think no bones about it. Like, we are capitalists, and that's the nature of our business. We swap money for equity, and now we're swapping money and token for equity in startups. But we want them to grow. Token holders, the token is indirectly connected to one of the value of those businesses, because the community owns the equity. So the individual wants that business to increase in value. By increasing value, they're going to increase their good that they're doing in the world.
And we were talking a little bit for the question of how do you actually measure positive impact? Like, how do you know if this fish farming thing is actually good for the planet?
It's
artificial fish. It's like it's like a.
Well, so they take the cells from fish and they grow it in a laboratory. Some of them, it's a huge. Some of them are no-brainers, right? So we've invested in a company that's it's AI technology for buildings around light usage and energy consumption. It's something like that, clear benefit, right? And the product, to produce this product, is very low intensive energy. Other things like fish, you start to get into questions around, okay, well, what's the carbon offset? That's very hard to measure. And then other elements around, well, what's the value of biodiversity? Which is also really tricky things for us. So we try to keep it simple. There's some framework online or organizations that put things together for startups, because you got to kind of remember these guys are still getting their prototype together. You don't know what the arc looks like.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's some players in the market, especially banks, that want to create their own bespoke system, which for us doesn't make sense. Everyone thinks they can kind of do it right. That's a dangerous kind of place. It'd be better for everyone just to use the same system.
How many of these tokens have you created?
One for every person on Earth. So 7.8 billion.
How many do you have?
10. Not a lot. We've only just done the first issuing, actually. Loic just touched on it. So we'll put a landing page together. Anyone here, we'll distribute 2,000 tokens to anyone from PAUA that wants some and to join the community.
That's so cool. So let's say this project works beyond your wildest dreams. Where are you in like 7 years? Like what types of changes has it brought about, or what's shifting as a result of it?
Yeah, I mean that's an awesome, like, what does success look like is a question for us. I think we have 2030 goals around the businesses that we invest in. So we're looking for gigaton scale carbon reduction projects. So we're trying to find, by 2030, have 10 projects that we've invested in that have reduced carbon emissions by a gigaton. We also want to be able to manage our equity share in the businesses, 20 million tons of waste management. And then the third, so we have these three focus areas. So decarbonization, waste management, and food security. Food security is a huge one when you talk about preparedness against climate change, and also obviously the impact that factory farming has, both on biodiversity and carbon impact. So we want to reduce beef and dairy consumption by 25% amongst our community, right? And so we want to influence the people that hold the token to change their behavior in that, we are on a collective, we're reducing our beef and dairy consumption. And that's not to say every single person has to be vegan. It's to say, let's just think about our choices, right? Like, let's go 3 days a week vegan, or let's go vegan but I really like bacon. Whatever that looks like for you, people just need to kind of look at how they can make a difference and not necessarily let the perfect be the enemy of the good.
And how did you choose those three areas?
Yeah, good one. So our foundation, we have a really strong background in food security and alternate protein. So we kind of playing to our strengths on that one. Decarbonization technology is just an imperative for every company to be looking at.
Right.
Just as a ballpark, of investment into clean carbon technology, around 70% of the investment goes into electric vehicles. Electric vehicles represent 16% of the carbon footprint problem. Right? So you've got manufacturing is over 25% of the carbon footprint. You've got the built environment that's over 25%, and they're getting just a fraction of the investment. Right? And so if we can identify these businesses and bring them into our community, we're not saying we can solve their funding issues. $250,000 worth of token is not going to change the world for these companies, but it's about bringing them into the ecosystem, having them bought in, and giving them the exposure and support to flourish and find funding in other ways as well.
And would you ultimately do another creation of your own token, or is that like Bitcoin? Is that all there's ever going to be? It's 7.8 billion.
Yeah.
Can you create
Well,
more?
I think we can get, and I know this is something that you're pretty interested in. So the token itself acts as a broad governance token as well. So you hold token, and in 6 years' time, and it's very intentional that in 6 years' time, the whole treasury of the community, all the tokens will get handed over to the community. Right?
Oh, nice.
So, and that'll be controlled by a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization. And the community will have full voting rights to propose actions and the ability to vote on those proposals. We're creating something that we really love. The execution, we're still ironing out a lot of the bugs. We're not ready to hand it over to the community just yet, right? You've got examples like in Korea where the Ethereum went up 3 times in value. The DAO voted to close down the project and just distribute all the Ethereum out to everybody, right? Project shuts down. It's something we're mindful of at the moment. But small things like, where we're allocating our token in terms of grants, or what projects we're looking at, or maybe what products we're going to expand to, or regions, all of that's going to be up for the community for voting. So the token is a governance in that perspective.
And is it a non-profit enterprise as a whole, or is it a for-profit?
No, so it's a foundation, so it's a not-for-profit. The very head of the organization is a foundation.
Yatsui is one of the investors? Or something?
Yeah, so we've got a broad group of Hong Kong-based people. Web3 community in Hong Kong is growing, and it's pretty vibrant there. So it's a really interesting space to bring stuff together.
Are you still raising money for it, or are you sort of set for the time being?
Look, we're going to continue to have private token sales. We've got a launch coming and sales as we go. But at the moment, we've found enough people that are kind of love the idea, and yeah, we've got runway to go for a little while.
It's quite altruistic, what do you think? Why was this so appealing to the sort of donors from the business community and
well, I think
investor community?
There is a component there, kind of getting into the detail, but we will give our startup deal flow to people that are regulatory authorized to invest in private companies. There's legal rules around who can buy equity from small business, from private companies, but people that are qualified will actually get access to the deal flow. So a lot of these high net worth people see the value in getting access to these potential companies, because sustainability and sustainability growth and real climate action is not only an imperative for the planet, but it is actually going to be profitable.
Okay, so they see it, they're getting early in and they have new opportunities.
Exactly.
What's been the most fun aspect of the project for you personally?
A lot of it's just ideation, working out ways that this is going to be able to work. There's a lot of cool companies approaching us.
And it's just Hong Kong for the moment. That's sort of your place where you're templating?
So we are in just working out some detail with the world's largest sustainability-only online store. So all their goods are verified. So you essentially will be able to earn token and spend token on buying secondhand clothes from their store or Swedish-made electric motorbikes. You know, everything that's possible, and they're global. So yeah, so it just kind of depends on the partners that we do end up closing with. But to go back to the question of why it should be on-chain, decentralization is the reason. Like, and so you can kind of say that as a reward, it's similar to something like air miles. But the air miles analogy breaks down because you have to fly with a certain group of carriers. Right? Whereas in this scenario, all a company needs to do is pick up the token and start issuing it as a reward. And they can use our tools for that, or they can use their own tools for that if they really want.
But they can create their own token also? Or
I mean, they could. The purpose of the token being used by everyone is the network effects. And so to the question around why we're in Hong Kong, we really think we want to get 6 or 7 groups together. So you can earn token at A, B, and C, and you can go and spend it at company Z, X or whatever. You know. And so you prove that in a small space like Hong Kong, then we really believe that it'll grow like wildfire.
That's so great. Yeah, we have like apparently 48 seconds left. Yep. Anything else that you, like, have I missed any points that you really wanted to share, stuff that was on your mind?
No, I think, the DAO stuff's really cool, right? I think that's a way forward, just because it's about buy-in, right? And people really want this ability to control their community. People are sick of being a passenger, right? And I guess that's probably the capitalist system that you were talking about before. You know, things like.
So if it could be more of a stakeholder system, as Yat was talking about before.
Yeah, exactly, right? You know, you own your content and you own your community. And I think that's a really powerful element that can be taken to apply to so many different things.
Very cool. Down to zero. Thank you so much.
GreenToken.org.
Great to chat.
Perfect. Yeah, great talking to you.
Thank you both of you. Thank you, Dominic.